Welcome everybody. I want to welcome everybody back and welcome any new teachers that we have. Today we're going to be doing a quick demo of our new Cleartouch panels. The Cleartouch panels have been in the Middleborough School District for about 2 or 3 years, depending on the building. Some of them are very new and some of them have been around for a little while. So I want to start by going over here to our Cleartouch panel. So the Cleartouch panel is a flat screen TV, fully interactive, and it has an Android operating system in the back end. The Android operating system is running things that Cleartouch runs. The way we also can interact with it is we can plug our laptop directly into the Cleartouch panel and just use it like a projector. We do gain a couple other things from being able to do that. We can write on the screen, which allows us to write right on our computer screen. It does freeze the image. We'll talk about that in a little bit. All right, so here we're looking at the Cleartouch panel. This is the Android side of the panel. This is what you'll see when you come in and when you turn the panel on. Chorus is right here. It was also previously called Canvas. This is what our Whiteboard software is. This allows us to write right on the panel. There's other things we can do in there that I'll show you in a little bit, rulers, shapes, things like that that allow us to interact with the panel better. We have a browser, which is an internet browser. At this time, we're not recommending that you use that. It is just a basic internet browser, but it doesn't really have much functionality inside of the panel at this point. There's a Cleartouch store. This allows you to download apps that are directly made for Cleartouch. The Get Started is a great place where you can go get information on the panel, learn a little bit, and see different things maybe that we haven't taught you yet. But if you're at that point where you want to move forward and you want to learn more about it, you're more than welcome to do that. We also have Collage. Collage is a spot where you can go in and you can actually remote to the panel wirelessly. We're not going over that today. It's a little bit more advanced. But we will cover that in the next couple weeks. All right, so we're going to start now talking about Chorus, which is also called Canvas on some of the panels. When they upgrade, they switch to Chorus, so you might see in the next couple weeks that your panel upgrades and it becomes Chorus. It's the same. There's a couple things that are added in there, and I'll explain those to you. So we're going to start by launching that. What you'll see here is just a whiteboard. All right, so this is our Whiteboard software. Our Whiteboard software gives us all of the functionalities of a simple whiteboard. We can write on it, we can draw on it. It does give us other functionality that I'm going to go into in just a minute. So at the bottom of our panel here, we have our pens. The pens are magnetic. They connect right to the bottom of the panel here. Here we have a simple pencil that we can just write on the screen with. We have a paintbrush, which just kind of gives us a little bit of different output when it comes to drawing. This next shape right here is allows us to draw different shapes. So if you put a square here, it's going to turn it into a square. If you draw a circle, it's going to turn it into a circle. If you draw a triangle, it's going to turn it into a triangle. Please know that this is a little bit finicky sometimes. So you might have to draw a shape twice. You might draw a rectangle and it shows up as a square. It does change a little bit. It has gotten better and it will continue to get better as Cleartouch evolves. Right here we have the dots. The dots allow us to just select something that's going to flash. So maybe we've drawn an equation up on the board and we want to focus their attention on one thing. We can switch to the dots. It's going to flash for about 5 seconds and then it's going to go away. We also have a highlighter here. The highlighter is going to allow us to highlight. All of these, you see the different size brushes that you have here. You just click and drag this, and it allows you to change the brush size. Same thing with the color. You can also change the color of anything. Obviously, now I'm in the highlighter. If I switch to the pen, it's going to stay in red, and the thickness is going to stay the same. If I wanted a smaller one, I could do that. We have the eraser here. This is the same thing. You have your eraser. You can use it with the pen like that. You can change the size of it to be able to erase like that. The other thing is you can just take your hand, and if you take your hand and you put it on there as one surface, it allows you to wipe just with your hand. You'll notice that these shapes did not go away. If I click on this arrow, and I click on the shape, I can hit the trash can and I can erase my different shapes. If I realize that I want to clear my entire board, I can click on this whiteboard on the eraser, click on this. Are you sure you want to clear this page? And then you just hit clear. Now you're back to a brand new canvas. We're going to cover a couple tools here. You'll see this little button with the arrow up here. We have different backgrounds that it allows us to do if we wanted to change the color of our background. We can also put a picture in. We'll cover that in a future version. Pictures allow you can connect to your Google Drive, and then you can pull a picture in if you wanted to make that your background. This is something cool, the grid option. The grid option allows you to do all kinds of different types of grids, whether it's small squares, whether it's lines for writing, whether it's dots for math, more graph paper, or just a blank canvas. And the way you go through those is you just keep touching the grid button, and that's going to allow you to switch between all of your different options, as you can see here. Those are our backgrounds. We can put text boxes in. So it's going to allow us to draw a text box here. It's going to pop up. We're going to minimize the keyboard here. We can change our font, we can change the size, we can change the color. If there was something that you wanted to do where you wanted to put a text box on there, you can do that. You'll see underneath here we have the trash can where we can throw that away. You also have your alignment just like you would in Google Docs or anything like that. We have different stamps. The stamps are kind of cool, mainly at the elementary level, maybe at middle school. If you're doing equations up on the board and you wanted to put a check mark because something was right, or if we're not very happy and we want to put a sad face. Those are all different options that you can do right on here. Just something fun that kind of changes it up for the class. Math tools. We have a lot of different tools in here that you wouldn't have on a normal whiteboard. You might be taking a protractor and putting it up against the board, or maybe taking a ruler and putting it up against the whiteboard. In here, we can do that right on the panel. We can click on this blue dot and we can make it bigger. We can come over here and we can measure exactly how big something is. To get rid of that tool, we just click the X. We have a protractor. We can come in, we have the protractor right here. We can measure angles. The cool thing about the protractor is that it actually leaves a line for you. So if we wanted to start our line at 0, and then we wanted to measure to 70 degrees, we now know that this angle is 70 degrees because we use the protractor. We have a compass, same thing with the compass. These are all different tools that you can just kind of play around with. A set square. Some of these tools you may use, some of the tools you may not. A graphing calculator if you wanted to do the graphing calculator right online, right on the panel, and then also a regular calculator. These are all tools very helpful in math if that's something that you're looking to integrate into your instruction. Here we have different shapes, pretty self-explanatory here. You can do arrows. We can change the color of them. We can change the outline color of them. That's all right here. We can change the outline thickness. You can see that shape there. We have a hide button. The hide button is allowing you to turn off the whiteboard. If you had something that you wanted the students to focus on you, or you wanted to just kind of hide the whiteboard for now, that hide button is very helpful. All right, so that was our Chorus app or our Canvas app, depending on the version that your panel is currently at. I have my pen here. I'm going to put my pen right back on the whiteboard so I don't lose it. You'll see these little arrows here on the side of the whiteboard. If I click on this, that's going to bring up different tools for me. This home button just brings me home to my Android home screen. This 2 rectangles will bring me to any apps that are open on my panel. This will bring me right to my whiteboard, which I currently have on hide. I'm going to use this button to go home. This pen right here is actually an annotate key. We're going to talk about that a little bit more when we get over to the computer and to the HDMI input. All right, you'll see here we have our different tools. Right over on the left-hand side, we have Spotlight, Countdown, Stopwatch, and Air Class. We're going to talk about the first three. Air Class is a software that we're not using at the moment. Spotlight allows you to take part of your screen and turn it off while also spotlighting a section of it. So you'll see that I have a rectangle here. This is an upgrade on on the newer panels. All the panels will eventually get it. If you click the gear at the bottom, you'll have the ability to do circular or rectangle on the newer panels. On the older panels, you'll just have circular. And like I said, over the upgrades over the next couple weeks, you'll start to see that rectangle pop up. We have different things here that we can select inside of the settings. We have zoom, which allows us to change the size of the circle. And then we have clarity, which allows us to show whether or not the transparency is behind it. So maybe we have something where we have 6 different equations, they're all on the screen, and we only want the students to focus on one at a time. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to switch to rectangle, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. This is our first equation. This is the one we're going to work on right now. Then after we do that one, then we're going to go to the next one over here, down, over, and then down. So that's just one of the uses that you might have for something like this. Like I said, the gear here gives you all of those different choices. The zoom to make the size, and then to get out of that, we're just going to hit the X. We're going to go back over here, talk about another shape that we have. Another tool, sorry. We have the countdown. The countdown allows us to create a timer right on the screen. So I'm going to set this just for fun. We're going to set this for 5 seconds. It's going to ring when the timer's over. This is going to make a noise. If we didn't want it to make a noise, we could uncheck this, and what it will do is it'll start and it'll go to red and it'll count down when we're done. So we're going to hit start. We're going to wait the 5 seconds. Time is over. Now you've seen that it went into the red. So maybe we had a lesson, we set a time limit for our students to do their work, and now that time's expired and we're going into the red. We can pause it, we can reset it. Like I said, if you didn't want that sound, we could just uncheck that. And what it's going to do is it's not going to make a noise. It's just going to go right to the red when it's all done. We'll see that in just a second. There it goes. And that's that. We're going to pause it, we're going to reset it, and we're going to get out of it. Going back to our tools, stopwatch. Stopwatch works the same way. Except here we just have a start, we have a lap, and we have a pause. If that's something that you used inside of your classroom, there's a tool for that right there. At this point, we're going to jump to the power buttons, the 2 most important things on this panel. This panel has 2 power buttons on it. The first power button is on the underside of the panel, and it's a little toggle switch that's actually next to the power cord. This is a button that we really don't want to be using. It's not a safe way to shut down the panel. We want to be using the other power button, which I'm going to show you in just a moment. Now we have this other power button over here, which you can see is red. This means that the power is on, but the panel is not completely on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit that power button. The power button's then going to flash blue and red. It's then going to turn to completely blue. That means that your panel is on. Once the panel's on, you'll see the Cleartouch logo. It will launch, and then you'll get to the home screen. All right, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about how we integrate the PC or the laptop that we've given you, the black Lenovo E15s, into the panel so we can project them just like we used to project our BrightLinks last year or the last couple of years. So there's 2 different ways that we can get to our computer. We have plugged in 2 cords. You'll see that we've plugged in the HDMI cord, which is going to go into HDMI 1. And we've also plugged in the USB interactive cord, which is going to go into Touch 1. You're then going to take HDMI 1, the HDMI cord, and the USB cord and plug both of those into your computer. The HDMI cord is going to allow you to project from your computer onto your screen. That USB touch cord is going to allow you to interact with your PC while you're on the screen, eliminating you having to be at your computer and allowing you to be in the front of the room to do instruction. So there's two different ways we can get to our computer. We can click on the side button. We can click on these two levers down there, and then we can select HDMI 1. You'll see these blue dots here. This blue dot shows me that there's an input going into the screen, and then it recognizes a signal. So if you pull this up and you don't see that blue dot, you're going to want to make sure you check your connections between your computer and between the touch panel. You'll see here we have a volume lever. This volume button slider here is the master volume for the panel. So even if your volume on your computer is all the way up, if this volume is all the way down, you're not going to get any volume out of your panel. What I recommend is we leave this at about 3/4 to halfway all the time, and then that'll allow us to have constant volume from our computer, and if we need to, we can raise it up there. You'll see we have a brightness control. We can control the brightness. It will automatically detect the brightness that it needs. If it's a sunny day and you have a lot of sun coming in your room, it'll bring the brightness all the way up. If you turn the lights off, it will bring the brightness down a little bit. We see that there's a blue light button. If that's something that you feel is easier on your eyes, you can click the blue light button. It does change the color of the screen slightly. So we're going to switch to HDMI 1 right now, which is going to bring up my computer. Okay, we still have those little arrows on the side here. And I should have mentioned, we have the arrows on both sides. So whatever side of the panel you're on, you have that arrow to be able to access. I'm going to go home back to my Android screen because I want to show you one more way of how we can get to that. So if we swipe up from the bottom of the screen, from the very bottom just above the Cleartouch logo, that's going to bring up the same general settings options that we accessed from the side panel. I'll select HDMI 1, and then we have it right here. Now that we have our computer up on the screen, I do want to cover one little thing that we need to do. This might vary depending on the operating system that you have. If you see your search bar in the middle of your computer screen, that means you're on the newest version of Windows. What we're going to do is we're going to right-click at the bottom, go to Taskbar Settings, and then you'll see right here it says Touch Keyboard. We want to make that always. And we can get out of that. If your search bar is on the left-hand side and your Windows icon is on the left-hand side, what you're going to do is you're going to right-click on your taskbar, and you should see a thing that says Show On-Screen Keyboard or some sort of indication about the keyboard. You're going to want to check that. What that's going to do is that's going to give you a keyboard down here that you can always get to onto Windows. And that will become more important when we get to interacting with the screen and interacting with our computer from the touch screen. So now that we have our panel going, we have our Windows operating system up on our laptop, and we're mirroring that onto our display. One of the great things about Cleartouch is that because I've plugged that USB cable into my computer and also into my panel, I have the ability to connect and interact right on the screen and control my laptop. So if I needed to go to something and I wanted to make sure that I'm still in front of the screen, I'm still doing my standard instruction, and I can control my keyboard and I can control my entire computer right from here. So this is where I have started. I've opened up a notepad just for demonstration purposes. Now I want to type on my keyboard. The problem is I don't have my keyboard in front of me because I'm not in front of my laptop. So if I come over here and I click this little keyboard button, that's going to pop up a keyboard for me. Now you do want to be careful when you're using this keyboard. You are in front of all of your students. Typing in a password to Aspen, typing in a password to your Gmail is not a good idea to do while you're up in front of the class and to do it with the interactive keyboard. There are times and places when this is helpful. You obviously wouldn't sit here and type an entire document with one finger in front of the class. That would probably take a while. But if you did need to type something in, maybe it's a Google search, maybe it's something like that where it's just a quick type, you can do it from here without having to go to your laptop. To get out of that keyboard, we can just click that X button. So this covers all of what we're looking to start with for our Cleartouch panels. Obviously, there is things that we're going to add. There's things that we're going to change moving forward. and we're always going to try and be progressing with Cleartouch as they come out with new features, as we grow as educators and as we grow as instructional technology, to make and to execute on our panels the best we can. So I want to thank everyone for joining us. We're going to keep training. We're going to keep giving you more videos and more instruction on this. And please see any other videos and emails that we do release. But those are the basics of Cleartouch. Please don't be afraid. Please don't be scared. If there's a problem, shoot me an email with the Cleartouch panels. If it's a problem with instruction, if it's a problem, you have a question about the panel, please email me directly. Any other issues, please put in a school dude and the technicians will address those. Thank you and have a great day.